Hi, I'm Eddie Horan. I'm the head writing tutor at Stockton's Writing Center. And what I'll be presenting today is how to become your own writing tutor. First, a little bit of background about the Writing Center. J105 in the main academic building is our main digs. We're available there Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Friday, we're available 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I'll show you some pictures, so keep your eyes peeled for those. We also have evening tutoring available in 2 locations. First, there's the TRLC near the freshman dorms. That's Sunday through Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. And we also have evening tutoring in the library learning commons. So if you walk into the library and go to that big room to the right, that's where you can find us there. We're available Monday through Thursday evening, 6 to 9 p.m. in the library. So here are some pictures for you. We've got a computer lab here in which a lot of our tutoring occurs in here. There are 16 computers. We've got a table in the middle, a projector, and a whiteboard in the front of the room. So you can work and you can sit on a computer on your own or with a tutor. You can sit at the table with a printed out paper or your laptop on your own or with a tutor. You might even have something presented up on the board, things like that. We've also got this back room to the Writing Center. We've got a comfortable little sofa back there. We've got 3 computers and 4 tables back there and a whole bookshelf of books. So you can also work back there with a tutor. We also have the quiet tutoring room. This is a little room in the middle of the tutoring center and it's got a door on it. So if you get distracted when it's loud or if you prefer not to have voices when you're working, that's fine. You can sit in the tutoring center either on your own or with a tutor, shut the door and get a little bit of peace or quiet. So what do writing tutors do? Do they A, edit students' assignments, B, rewrite students' assignments, C, provide students with ideas, D, all of the above, or E, none of the above? I'll give you a quick second to think about that. Quick second's over. Hint, it is none of the above. Tutors do not edit or rewrite students' assignments, and they do not provide ideas for students. So you might be wondering, then what do writing tutors actually do? Well, they help. They help students do all those things. They help students edit their papers. They help students rewrite their papers. They ask students questions to help them think of ideas. They help students learn about style guidelines like MLA, APA, Chicago, all that fun stuff. And they help students reach their professors' expectations. So how do they help? How does writing tutoring work? Well, students work with tutors to examine their assignments and determine how well they meet stylistic guidelines, professors' requirements, logical expectations, grammatical norms, things like that. Tutors offer advice, but they do not edit, they tutor. That's where all that helping comes in. So you can come at any stage of the process to do that. You can come at the beginning if you've just got some ideas that you'd like to bounce around with the tutor. That's fine. We can have a conversation. You can come in the middle of your paper and ask about a particular body paragraph. Maybe you're not sure about the structure of it, or maybe you're not sure about your citations. Come on down. We'll help you out with that. You can even come to ask about a particular concluding paragraph. You can even come once you've finished with a paper and just run through most of the paper with a tutor. If you're doubting yourself, and even if you're not doubting yourself, you should come early on. The reason for that is, and this happens once in a while, and it's always kind of sad. Students come in, and they just want to work with the tutor, get some feedback about their paper, and the tutor has to deliver some shocking news. The tutor says, hey, I'm sorry, but based on the assignment sheet from your professor, you haven't actually reached the assignment. You're going to have to scrap most of this paper. And of course, nobody wants to hear that 20 minutes before a paper is due. So that's why you should come early on. Come early on so that we can get you on the right track once you've started so that you don't run into that problem in the first place. And even if you do come once the paper is finished, come with enough time to get through and work with the tutor and even have a whole day to go back and revisit your paper and make some corrections. You should allot 30 to 40 minutes for each tutoring session. So consider that, and then consider how much time it'll take you then to run through your document and actually make the changes so that you have one final complete project to hand in. Tutors also ask questions. They are gatherers of information about assignments, classes, professors, majors, you name it. So, when you come in, one of the first things a tutor is going to ask you is, may I see your assignment sheet? Or did your professor give you some specific printed instruction for this assignment? The reason that we want to know the specific instructions is we need to be able to help you determine that you've actually reached the expectations of the assignment. Like I said, we don't want you to run into a situation where you don't bring that in and the tutor helps you with some grammar, with some structure, and you hand in the assignment, but you haven't actually reached the expectations of the professor. That's not a good situation. So have that information prepared. They also want to know about your class, because there's a difference between a paper written for argument and persuasion and a paper written for like a lab report, something like that. So they want to know about the class. They even want to know about your major so that they can see perhaps if you have a particular stylistic guideline to follow. If you're a sciencey kind of major, you're probably going to be working with APA. If you're involved with the humanities, you might be working with MLA or Chicago. So it's helpful for the tutor to know which style manual you might be working with based on your major. They also want to know about the professors because different professors have different pet peeves and different expectations. For example, Pam Cross really likes the words "for example." Other professors aren't so keen on those words. It all depends. Our tutors have worked with a number of tutors, not just in the writing program, in the science programs as well. So they can offer you some advice based on their experiences with professors as well. So the more information you can give the tutor, the better the tutor is able to help you. Tutors also offer advice. They might offer advice related to your paper, for example, about your paragraph structure and organization, or the soundness of your argument. In other words, does your argument make sense when you go from point A to point B, or does it seem like a disjointed jump? Does your argument make sense at all? Are you arguing something that has actually been proven wrong? They'll help you out with that. They'll help make sure that your thesis statement is on the right track for your paper. They'll even help you work on the strength of your evidence and sources and your attention to professors' expectations. So if you have a citation from, I don't know, infoplease.com, that's not a scholarly source. And if your professor is looking for scholarly sources, the tutor can tell you, whoa, 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 that's not going to cut it. Let me show you a little bit about how to use Stockton's databases. Or we can even run down to the library and look through a journal, show you something. They even offer feedback related to just general study. So they might offer you study tips, critical reading tips, critical thinking tips, how to use reference books like a writer's reference, which we use heavily in the Writing Center, and even some light assistance with research terms and queries. So as I mentioned, they might give you a quick little demonstration about how to use the databases and the online journals, things like that. Or you could even run down, if you want a fuller presentation for that, you can run down to the library, and they've got some people available there to help you out with that. So when you come for writing tutoring, what should you bring? First, as I've mentioned, you should bring any specific instructions for your assignment so that the tutor can know exactly what you're working on. You should also bring any drafts that you've completed. So if you've actually started your paper, bring it in. If you started one draft and you weren't sure about that and you started another draft, bring them both in. We can do a quick little compare and contrast between the two. We can show you, okay, what's good about this draft, what's good about this draft. We can help you merge them together. You should also bring any questions that you have for your tutor. This helps us direct where we want to tutor. Again, as I've mentioned, the session is usually 30 to 40 minutes. So if you're coming with a lengthy paper, it might be the case that the tutor won't be able to get through the entire paper with you. So if you have specific areas where you'd like to focus, specific questions that you'd like to ask, that can help us get this done in a timely manner and make sure that we're working on everything that you really want to work on. Also plans to bring some feedback from earlier assignments if available. So if this is in the middle of the semester and you've gotten one or two assignments back from your professor already, bring those in. If you're able to show the tutor this information, the tutor can evaluate what you're doing that the professor likes, what you're doing that the professor doesn't like, any particular pet peeves the professor has, things like that. So that'll help the tutor narrow his or her sight on your paper and help offer you feedback in areas where you could really use it. We have a saying in the Tutoring Center, and it's bring your own brain, B-Y-O-B, not beer, brain. And that means be active and engaged. So in other words, don't sit down at a table and expect a tutor to run through your paper while you stare around the room and then the tutor will say, hey, I've got something to show you. It's actually going to be quite the opposite. It's probably going to be the case that you'll actually read the paper to the tutor, so the tutor can hear if there's something that doesn't sound right or something that sounds really good. So that's keeping you active and keeping you as a learner, because our goal is to help you become more dependent as a writer. And if you're just staring around the room until a tutor tells you to replace a comma with a semicolon, that's not too helpful. So be prepared and be active. We call it basically that you're doing the heavy lifting. The tutor, if you think about it, is like a spotter. You're lifting the weights and the tutor is there to help you out if you get stuck or if you're about to get crushed. And again, this will help you grow as a writer, editor, and thinker. Got a little picture there. Remember, tutors are helpers. They'll spot you. So, how do tutors know so much? If they're all undergraduate peer tutors, how are they able to offer so much feedback? Well, first, they've been trained. They go through a mandatory semester-long course with Pam Cross, the coordinator of the Writing Center. That's called the Writing Tutor Practicum. They come recommended by professors. So a student who's in a class and proves himself to be a decent person, a decent writer, that professor might write Pam Cross, might talk to Pam Cross and say, hey, I've got this student. I'd really like him or her to become a tutor. Do you think you could fit him or her into the practicum? And Pam will say, sure, no problem. And that's how it works. Throughout the practicum, tutors run through a number of areas. They run through some theory about tutoring, so best practices, not so good practices, and they even evaluate the theory to come up with their own methods. So if they like something from this theory and not something from this theory, they can merge them together and make their own theory, so to speak. They also get in-house practice during the semester. During that semester, they put in a few hours a week at the Writing Center. During the first half of the semester, what they do is they observe the veteran tutors in action. So they can sit there and watch a session, see how it works, pick up on some things that they like, some things that they don't like. And Pam even has them write up some assignments about reflecting on what they've seen. As they move forward during the semester, then they kind of spread their wings and they work independently with students. And then sometimes the tables turn for that if it's not so busy. Actually, a veteran tutor might observe while the new tutor's working so that the veteran tutor can offer some advice. They even run through some hypothetical situations. So Pam comes up with some role plays and she gives them out to people in the class, and one person's a tutor, one person's a student, and they role play how to handle particular situations. So when you come and work with a writing tutor, you're in really good hands. Aside from that, they look stuff up. I've mentioned a writer's reference. It's gold for writing. We've got the 8th edition that just came out, although the 6th and 7th editions are most popular, or we've got more of them in the Writing Center. Tutors look these things up. Tutors don't know all the details about MLA and APA in Chicago in their heads. They look it up. Sometimes they're not sure about grammar. They look it up. You've also got the Purdue Online Writing Lab, that's known as the Purdue Owl, and that's available free online. You can find it at this URL, or even if you search Purdue Owl through Google, you can find it there. It's free and it offers help with grammar, citations, all sorts of things like that. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means that you can do a lot of what we do. You can look stuff up too. We've got a writer's reference lying all over the Writing Center. You can come on down and you don't even have to work with the tutor. You can just run straight to it. You can sign in, run straight to a book, sit there for a little bit, find the answers to your questions, and be on your way. You can do that. You can look up things on the Purdue Owl. You can do that at home. You can do it in the Tutoring Center. At any rate, just put your best foot forward. You can even look up the basics of your field's preferred style guidelines. So if you're a chemistry major, you probably need to work with APA. You can look up that and you can narrow your focus onto that. You can also learn to proofread carefully. You can learn how to work with tutors, and once you work with a tutor for a while, you catch up on certain strengths and weaknesses that you have. And once you do that, it'll help you keep your eyes peeled for things you know you're not so good with. You can also read aloud when you do that. I found that it helps even to read backwards, not each sentence backwards, but read the last sentence of your paper and then the second to last sentence and so on, so that you can isolate each sentence and hear how it sounds on its own. Does it sound right? Does it sound grammatically correct? Things like that. You can also learn the basics of grammar. If you've got a problem with comma splices, well, first you've got to learn what that is if you're going to fix it. So you can work with the tutor for a while, you can look it up, and you can learn to be vigilant as you run through your papers and proofread for comma splices. You can check your professor's assignments thoroughly. First, you want to make sure you know exactly what your professor is looking for. So read your assignment sheets several times, and even as you're working on your assignment, have it printed out right there for you. So you can make a checklist, you can run back, you can cross things off as you get to them. Make sure that you're hitting everything your professor wants you to hit. You can even speak with your professors to make sure that you understand the assignments. So if you've run through the assignment a few times and you think you've got it, but you just want to double check, that's what office hours are for. Run down, see your professor, talk about it, and your professor will be more than happy, in most cases, to help you out. So what should you do to become your own writing tutor? As I've mentioned, look stuff up first, and make sure that you understand your assignments. Read them over and over. Also, and this is a big one, as I've mentioned, start early. Do not procrastinate. If you come at the last minute and it turns out that your paper needs a lot of work, you won't have time to get it in on time. So come at least a day in advance if you can, so you can work with a tutor and you're not so crunched for time. You're not so stressed to just get it finished. Confer with your classmates as well. Set up study groups. Go meet in the library in the room off to the right, and you can work together, do group projects. You don't even have to do group projects, just study together. You can make sure you can help each other with assignments, things like that. You can also see what you know that they don't and what they know that you don't. In that way, it's kind of a two-way street. You can be each other's own tutors. And again, as I mentioned, you can speak with your professors. Make sure that you understand A, their assignments, and B, their feedback on earlier assignments. How can you improve those assignments? Again, I'm really trying to hammer this one home, or hammer this one in. Make sure to read and understand the comments your professors give you. Here's how professors work as they run through your papers. They run through and they evaluate how well you're doing what they want you to do. They evaluate certain areas of strengths and weaknesses that you have in your writing. And what they expect to see as the semester goes on is that you'll progress as a writer. So if you have trouble with coordinating conjunctions at the beginning of the semester, they expect that by the end of the semester, you'll be able to do those at least a little bit better. So make sure that you're reading those comments so you know in the first place what they're looking at, and so that you can get an idea of what you need to work on. Also check all the materials your professors make available. Professors usually give assignment sheets, some even give sample papers, and some even on top of sample papers offer some writing tips. So sometimes if you go onto Blackboard, there's a little folder that says writing hints, things like that, that can help you succeed as a writer in a particular professor's course. Again, as I mentioned, professors have different pet peeves. Find out what they like, find out what they don't like, ask questions. Quick little summary since we've run through a few things here. I'd like to just give you the main idea here. Tutors help, students do. Again, that's the spotting versus lifting. You're the lifter, the tutor's the spotter. Come early. Do not wait until the last minute. Look stuff up. Be prepared to look into a writer's reference or look online. Even if you don't like a writer's reference or the Purdue Owl, you can type into Google grammar help, things like that. There are all sorts of different sources online that you can get some help from. And again, understand exactly what it is that your professor wants. If you have any questions about anything like this, you can come on down to J105. You can talk to Pam Cross. She's the coordinator of the Writing Center. You can talk to me, Eddie Horan, the head writing tutor. You can email us. You can even come in and talk to any tutor or staff member. Or if you're feeling a little shy, you can check our website. If you go to Stockton's homepage and you search Writing Center, your first hit right there will bring you directly to our webpage. You can check our schedule. You can check exactly what services we offer, things like that. Well, that's all I got, and thank you for following along.